What is up, guys? Now, I haven't been around for a little while, and I'm sorry. I've been in LA, and then I came back, and I was jet lagged and just knackered all the time. But I'm feeling better, and we're going to go straight into our tier list now. I haven't done some of these for a little while, so we're going to go through role by role. And today, we're going to be looking at AD carry. Remember as well, there is a giveaway going on right now, and I've got a couple of $10 RP cards to give away. The link is down in the description. There are a bunch of different ways to enter, but just being subscribed is enough to get you in with a chance. So first up on this list, at number 5 is going to be Ashe. And you know that I think Ashe is pretty good. Like, I've done a proper guide on her, I've put on my previous top 5s, and it's not that she is weaker in herself, it's that the meta around her is different. The meta right now has changed from these big brute force tanks into more of a carry orientated junglers and top laners like Irelia and Nidalee, for example. So those champions have a gap closer, they have a lot of damage, and if you have no escape as an AD carry, you're going to really struggle to deal with them. The good points about Ashe are still there though. Her ultimate is still overpowered. It is ridiculous. You can win your lane by doing that. You can win the whole game by doing that as well. In lane, she is a lane bully still. She has a really high range and she has really good damage. And that damage is not just in lane. It's in the lane phase, mid game, and even late game as well. Her late game is insane. I mean, she has her range, she can shred tanks with her Q, and she does a lot of damage with that passive. So as you can see, like, the things that make her good are still there, right? She still has a lot of damage, she still has that utility, but it's just the weaknesses are now more relevant, I guess. Her having no escape really does hurt her, and she takes time to kill people, which is really not good against these assassin carries. She needs more items to really deal with these kind of people. Like, ideally you want 3 damage items and a defensive item to really be able to kill them before they can kill you. So at number 4, we're going to take a complete U-turn from Ashe in terms of playstyle and the strengths, and we're going to look at Corki. Now Corki is like the burst mage of AD carries, I guess. He has a good mix of magic and AD damage, which makes him really hard to build against and really hard to avoid his damage. He used to be really popular, and then he kind of fell out of favor with the tank meta because he's not the best tank killer unless you optimize your build for it, but now it's coming back to these carry laners who don't build as much defense. He is really good right now, and honestly, I could put him higher on this list and it would still be justified. Now he has really good burst and really good poke, which makes him incredibly deadly. Like, he's going to poke you down first and then burst the rest of your health before you can do anything about it. Now he definitely has the best mid game out of any AD carry, and a lot of that is because he has a lot of damage on his abilities as well as his auto attacks. When he gets his Triforce, he spikes incredibly hard, and that is when you're just going to become unstoppable, kill everyone, and hopefully snowball the game. The problems with Corki is that he has a really high W mana cost, his Valkyrie, which means his lane phase can be pretty weak if you're on the back foot, because you'll never have mana to go offensive. You also have a really long cooldown on it, so in teamfights you can only really reposition once, and this can hurt you if they have a very mobile team. You're skill shot reliant, so if you miss your Q and your ultimate, you're not really going to do any damage, and he's not got the best late game damage, but it still is okay. So at number 3, this might be a little bit of a surprise, but hear me out, okay? And we're gonna have Jinx. Now for the similar reasons as we have Ashe lower down this tier list now, is Jinx is at number 3 instead of at number 1. Yes, she snowballs really hard. Yes, she has this ridiculous late game and a huge amount of damage, but the problem is that she has no escape, and the assassin meta that's coming back now is absolutely ruining her. Now that doesn't mean she's bad at all. I honestly think she's still really, really good, but it just makes you slightly more team reliant, which is why I'm hesitant to put her above the other two. So as we said, her pros, like, she has this ridiculous range that makes you very safe in team fights. She has an attack speed steroid if people get too close, your passive to clean people up, and a really, really good mid to late game. So every AD carry has quite a few weaknesses right now in this current meta, but the things I want to focus on are that she has no escape and she doesn't have the best lane phase after that ultimate nerf. This actually affected her kill potential in a 2v2 skirmish quite a lot, which means everyone else on this list can actually bully you in lane and you're probably going to come out behind. As I said before, she has a tough time against assassins, and if you do come out of lane behind, then your mid game is really going to suffer. But on the other hand, if you do get ahead in lane, then you're still going to roll over everyone. Right, now I am so happy to put Vayne at number 2, but almost, okay, she's almost going to be number 1, right? I really hope I can put her there. Now you guys know I love Vayne, and any excuse I'll put her on here, but honestly, she actually deserves this spot. This isn't me just being biased. So with the current meta of ADs, she's actually pretty strong against everyone else on this list, and she can hard carry a game if you're good enough with her. Now this is the thing, okay, if you are not very good at Vayne, then just don't play her. Everyone tries to play her because she's fun, and if you're not that good with her, then you're not really going to stand much of a chance of carrying a game. Her lane phase is not as bad as people think, and it's something that people are realizing now, which is why she's coming back, because you can actually get to your really good late game earlier by getting ahead in lane. The better you are with her, the more you're going to win, and it just is that simple. You have a really good late game, but you have kind of short range, so if you play it badly, you're going to die. The good thing with Vayne though is that you almost always win a 1v1, so even if you do get a little bit behind, if you find the enemy AD carry alone, then chances are you can actually kill them. So one of the biggest weaknesses with Vayne has always been that you can be bullied in lane and get behind if you don't trade properly, or if they just pick a really strong laner. The biggest thing that people actually don't really think about is that you are really weak to AoE damage in teamfights. So if they have a really AoE heavy comp like a Rumble and a Ziggs for example, then you don't really want to pick Vayne. Now she isn't as safe as other AD carries, she kind of has to go in to do damage, and she's one of the hardest to play, so if you want an easy game, then do not pick Vayne. Right, so at number 1 we have Sivir, and okay, I'm going to give you this scale, right, to show you exactly why she is number 1. So on one end of the scale we have damage, on the other we have utility. Now utility is things like crowd control and stuff that actually helps other people do things, like a support is mainly utility, right, and they don't really do much damage. So when we're going down the scale, really, you should be doing less damage the more utility you have. But with Sivir, she has a huge amount of utility and a huge amount of damage, and that just shouldn't happen. Her ultimate is ridiculously strong, and she has a good lane phase. Like, she can bully people pretty hard if you play it correctly. She has amazing wave clear, which means even if you do get behind, then you can just insta-clear the wave, and you're still going to be racking up a lot of gold and farming well. Her spell shield is also another piece of utility that is ridiculously good. Like, it covers up her lack of escape and actually lets her deal with these assassins properly if you use it at the right time. Her bad points have always been that she has really short range and she's also mana hungry as well. So if you get behind, then that short range is going to hurt you even more, and if you don't use your spell shield properly, then you will run out of mana in lane. Okay, so those are my top 5, but I have 3 others that I want to talk about, and they are Tristana, Draven, and Caitlyn. So the reason Tristana isn't on this list is because she's more of an LCS competitive pick. Like, she is really good at destroying towers, and simply solo queue does not revolve around the siege game. Draven is very snowball heavy. He can either win really hard or he can lose really hard, and I don't think that's the best playstyle for solo queue. But if you're going to pick one AD and main it, then Draven is a really good choice. Okay, so finally Caitlyn. Like, this meta right now, everyone is fighting mid game. There are tons of dragon fights, there's tons of grouping, and Caitlyn doesn't really fit with that. Like, she has a good early, weak mid, and good late. So the reason I'm going to mention her, even though she doesn't really fit in this meta properly, is because gold and below, I actually think she can be really strong, because you can bully your opponent and you can literally make their lane phase hell. So that wraps up my top 5, and I actually put a bit more detail in it this time, so I hope you guys enjoyed that part. But as always, if you don't agree and you have another favourite champion that you think should be there, then pop it down in the comments and let us know why. That's all for this time though, so I'll catch you in my next video.